Hello dear viewer and welcome to a new video series here on YouTube, and this time I want to build a 1 million effective signs per minute base. Now what does 1 million effective signs per minute even mean? The only research in the game that requires all 12 signs packs is research productivity. The base has to maintain 1 million signs per minute for this research. But before we create the world, let's go over the mods I'm using. Other than the default mods, I'm using Anti-Gloom, which makes nights less dark. Avadi Essentials is my own mod to speed up the game. No power icons, because I don't like these blinking icons all the time when I'm designing a blueprint. Rate calculator to get ratios right, and of course visible planets in space, with Valerian's planets. Okay, let's go for this world. I want to use default settings. I think I've never used default settings in my life in Factorio. Usually I'm playing Death World or I'm tweaking the settings in some way, but this time it's purely default. You might ask, why not build 1 million signs per minute in my 1000 signs coast run? Well, because you need high levels of technology and research to get the required effective signs per minute. I will call this world All for Cyne, named after Deneb, a blue supergiant star, 2000 light years away in the constellation of Cygnus. I can't help myself, but I love the early game in Factorio. Here we go, burner miners. And chopping trees. In this series I'm using a more relaxed editing style. Hopefully I can pump out more content this way, because there are actually a lot of people who wanted more long form content. Tell me in the comments if you like this content and if you want to see more of this. My first energy source, a boiler and 2 steam engines. To get all the red signs research done, I like to use assemblers and labs with direct insertion. But before I can finish the red signs build, I have to gather more resources. And since I can see a biter nest on the minimap already, I have to get some gun turrets ASAP. And sure enough, the natives don't like my presence. Okay, no big deal, it's default. So let's continue by using electric mining drills. They are faster and produce less pollution. And in the meantime, I'm starting the physical projectile damage research, which is absolutely amazing to ramp up the damage quickly. This build is supposed to bring coal to my boilers, because I don't want to black out and I'm way too lazy to bring coal over there all the time. With 3 assemblers making red signs and 9 labs, technologies are researched very quickly. I'm going to use dedicated stone furnaces to get some early steel. I want to get heavy armor to quickly destroy the nearby biter nest. But first, gathering more resources. Okay, heavy armor is done. I like to put the pistol and the old armors in the crashed spaceship. Weird, I know. Okay, it's time for machine guns and turret creep. Owned. I already got all the red science technologies. And because the first research with red and green packs will be steel furnaces, I have to get some stone bricks. This red science factory has done its job, so it's time to deconstruct. In its place I will build a temporary makeshift mall for intermediates. And a second row of steam engines. Now that the nearby biter nest is gone, I can ramp up production a little bit and increase the pollution cloud. Moving forward, I want to use a main bus system, so let's plan where the belts have to go. A main bus is the best way to bring order to Factorio's complexity. I also use a bit of reverse thinking here, which is why I'm not starting with a smelting block and instead I plan the assemblers for the science production first. I like to build red and green signs adjacent to each other, and the green signs ingredients, belts and inserters can be stored in steel chests. These machines have high throughput, so I'm using fast inserters already. For the science packs assemblers, yellow inserters are sufficient. There are multiple ways to pick up items from the main bus. I have to admit that I'm always freestyling here. Next up, a green circuit subfactory. The ratio is 3 assemblers making copper wires and 2 assemblers making green circuits. If you've never worked with the main bus before, I mean, this is just the system. You take items from the main bus and then you put new items on the main bus. Same concept here for gears. I always put gears on the main bus as well, but I think in the Factorio community this is kind of controversial. Okay, I still have to design a smelting block though. I don't have steel furnaces yet, but 12 steel furnaces on each side will fill an entire yellow belt. So with this in mind, I'm reserving some space for iron and copper smelting. When you take coal from the belt, don't forget to set the splitter priority. The boilers for electricity production should have priority all the time. And this belt will be for the iron ore. Let's copy paste the blueprint because I also need copper smelting. To be honest, usually I build this the other way around, because then it's easier to see where all the items have to go. If you build in reverse, all belts are empty. I'm very curious if this will work when I finally connect the iron ore and copper ore. But first, power poles for electricity. And I have to rebuild the labs. Now this part is also very important. I want to put all the ingredients into chests. This makes it easy to pick up iron, copper, gears and green circuits for handcrafting. But before connecting the iron ore to the smelting blocks, let's create another row of steam engines. Okay, here we go. Let's pray that I didn't make a major mistake. Looking good so far. Wait a second, I don't see any green circuits. Ouch, I'm not taking copper, but iron from the main bus. There it is, the first green science pack. It will take a minute to see the real throughput. Okay, a couple of bug fixes here and there, but eventually I produce more science packs than my labs can handle. So let's build more. Nice, steel furnace is done, and now I want to rush to oil products immediately. This is supposed to be a mini steel production. I don't need much at this point. Without a perimeter defense, I cannot pollute enemy nests, which is why I have to be careful when increasing production. Works like a charm, but throughput could be better. I don't have coal and steel on the main bus, so let's change that and add 2 belts. I'm about to complete oil gathering, which is why I need pump jacks, but also better power poles. Unfortunately, I cannot continue research towards plastic and red circuits, because since Space Age you have to mine some oil to unlock this research chain. With a lot of large power poles and pump jacks at the ready, let's get this done. I've only seen 4 oil patches when creating the world in the preview screen. This might be a problem later. Building a pipe network at the oil outpost is always fun. Okay, done. The next milestone is to get plastic, then red circuits, and this unlocks the first mining productivity research. I'm a bit worried about this oil outpost, so let's set up at least 1 gun turret. You can never produce enough energy in this game. This playthrough is not supposed to be a speedrun. I want to go slow and methodical. Time to set up basic oil processing. I like to use pumps going in and out of storage tanks. Every oil product will get a dedicated storage tank, but for now all I'm producing is petroleum gas. To make room for the plastic production, I have to get rid of this wood. The way I'm placing the chemical plants for the plastic production allows me to copy-paste this layout vertically later on. I'm about to increase my mining productivity. To make room for red circuit sub-factory, this wood has to go. The assembler ratio copper cables to red circuits is 1:6. Now that I think about it, I never made a main bus guide, but I think other creators already covered this topic, so there's no need, I guess. Okay, beautiful, red circuits, and if you take a look at the minimap, you can see that there is a biter nest at 5 o'clock near my base. To increase production, I have to either remove it or produce efficiency modules and shrink the pollution cloud. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. 2 assemblers making efficiency modules level 1. Nevertheless, I have to deal with the biters later on, so let's get more physical projectile damage and speed. With efficiency modules, upgrading to the assembling machine level 2 is very beneficial. Faster crafting speed, less electricity consumption and less pollution. You can decrease the pollution of electric mining drills from 10 to 2. 5 mining drills will create the same amount of pollution as 1 mining drill before. Just take a look at the pollution graph. The blue line representing the pollution output of mining drills. Let's replace all assemblers. And in the meantime, I'm researching modular armor. And now it's also time to get the productivity module, which is very beneficial for your labs. Labs do not emit pollution, which means you get 8% free productivity. The only downside being a bit more electricity consumption. Visiting the locals with modular armor and a machine gun is fun. This temporary assembler is supposed to create solar panels. Yeah, it's in a weird spot directly on the main bus, but I only need it for a couple of minutes. I don't have accumulators yet. Solar panels still make the base more efficient, relieving my boilers during the day. Efficiency modules for the oil outpost and more panels. If you take a close look at the input belts at the red signs and green signs subfactory, it's clear that I'm now overproducing, even with assembling machines level 2. All major technologies have been researched, which is why I can now start working on the chemical science pack. This is what the base looks like in the map view currently. For blue science, I need way more resources, which is why I have to expand the amount of smelting. And mining as well. I don't have to worry about biters because of the efficiency modules. The pollution cloud will not grow. In Factorio, you never have enough red circuits, so let's increase the number of assemblers from 6 to 12. I'm showing you exactly how I built all of these subfactories. Of course, later on and in future episodes I have to pick up speed though. Else this run won't be done until next year. Okay, let's work on the chemical science ingredients. Starting with engines. I'm basically reusing the assembler layout from the red circuits. 7 assemblers on each side, 6 making engines and 1 making pipes. I don't complete the right side of this build because I want to start researching with chemical science ASAP. Again, the same assembler layout, but this time I also need pipes for the production of sulfur. Alright, it's the 3rd science pack I make, which means I also need an output belt, bringing the packs to my labs. And after connecting the incoming red circuit belt, the first wonderful blue bottles of science can be used to start researching mining productivity level 2. Now finishing the right side of the engine production and adding another set of blue science assemblers. In order to expand the main bus later on, I have to get rid of this forest, because the next milestone will be to switch from steam engine power to purely solar energy. To do that, I need accumulators to store energy through the night. I hope you don't mind some ASMR style moments of silence where I just expand production. And here we go, plus 20% mining productivity is done. Next, I want to get advanced oil processing and substations to replace my power poles. I absolutely love that it's now possible to flip production buildings, because else the way I'm weaving the pipes here would not be possible. I always output the 3 oil products into dedicated storage tanks, always using a pump to input and output fluids, because this allows you to use circuit logic later on to control the pumps. Now I'm trying to get bots and personal roboports. To craft bots later on, I need at least 1 assembler making electric engines. Of course, now that we are using the advanced oil processing, we also need oil cracking. Here's light oil cracking. And heavy oil cracking. Ooh, and I crafted the first substation, so let's use it. I want to build a huge solar energy farm, so let's use 2 assemblers to make accumulators and automate the production of solar panels. The moment when you finally have an equipment grid supporting a personal roboport. Because now bots can do the heavy lifting of constructing and refactoring the base. And speaking of refactoring, I made a blueprint for an electrical grid. Additionally, a blueprint for solar energy. Both blueprints have the snap to grid feature enabled. I'm using a grid size of 18 × 18, which is the maximum length between 2 substations with normal quality. And I decided to rebuild the entire factory around this blueprint, or grid size. But first, I need more green circuits. You can never have enough green circuits in this game. And because I want my bots to automatically build the solar energy farm, I have to build a connecting chain of roboports. Because of the snap to grid feature, you don't really have to align these blueprints. Okay, as I said, I want to rebuild the entire base around this 18 × 18 grid, which means I need way more steel for substations and roboports. A couple of logistic bots also come in handy to supply my engineer. And this is a map view. Time to transform the base. Starting with a new iron smelting block using electric furnaces. With efficiency modules, this makes the base even more pollution efficient, especially when electricity is made with solar energy. Now I'm copy-pasting this blueprint to reuse it for the copper smelting. It's always a great feeling when you can safely deconstruct the old smelting blocks. I will use this area for the steel production in a minute. My 4 blocks of solar energy are still under construction, as you can see on the minimap. When suddenly using so many electric furnaces, you have to be careful about the electricity consumption. Especially when efficiency modules level 1 are out of stock. Oh man, rebuilding the base will be a mess, but let's move on. Because of the new steel production, I'm very low on iron now. So let's add more mining and smelting. I want to get rid of all of these medium power poles and align the electric mining drills to the new 18 × 18 substation grid. I'm dreading this moment, but I have to rebuild all sub-factories. They simply don't fit into my new grid. I didn't properly blueprint the green circuit production, so let's build it again. And also, unfortunately, the main bus has to be relocated a couple of tiles. I should have planned for this grid right from the start. But anyway, I have bots to do most of the work, so I'll be fine. And this all has to go. I have to craft some logistic chests, else my bots will run out of storage space. Okay, let's build the new, properly aligned main bus. Next up, moving the red science production. Using the cut and paste feature comes in handy. The goal with this series is not only to build a 1 million science per minute base, but also to play more Factorio and release more content about Factorio. To make it possible, this video has less editing compared to my other content. Tell me in the comments below if you like this format. Okay, moving on, I also have to relocate the red circuit production. It's just a couple of tiles, but it doesn't fit my grid, unfortunately. And while I'm at it, let's make it 24 assemblers in total to produce red circuits. I think this is the first time where I'm using a strict grid in the very early game. But I like it and the new main boss looks beautiful. Okay, finally, while we are researching quality modules, let's get rid of the engine and chemical science subfactory just to move it a couple of tiles to the right. Imagine you had to do all of this without bots. Why am I even making sulfur at the bottom side of the sub-factory? But anyway, let's use some pipes and make it work. Okay, done. We are producing the chemical science pack again. Now that I have enough solar energy, the boilers and steam engines are only useful to get rid of wood. To launch a rocket, I need more sub-factories and thus more energy. I want to build a bot more later on, so it's crucial to put all of the basic ingredients into chests. Logistic storage chests, that is. Now I want to get rid of this temporary makeshift mini-mall and create a proper sulfuric acid and battery production. Because looking at the top right corner, I'm already very close to the rocket silo. And to make processing units, we definitely need sulfuric acid. While removing this wood, I noticed a new enemy expansion on the minimap. Very sneaky, annoying biters. I don't have military science yet, so no fancy weapons, just good old turret creep strategy. I never had an early game base looking this clean, to be honest. I want to get to space, so let's make processing units. And additionally, of course, low density structures. And the final ingredient for rocket launchers is rocket fuel. The sub-factory doesn't have to be built near the main bus because it requires only light oil. Okay, that's it, and while collecting the required materials to craft the rocket silo, let's do some maintenance. A bit more copper mining, and as always, more green circuits. And since my initial iron ore patch is about to be depleted, I have to add a new iron ore outpost. And here it is, my first rocket silo. To launch the first rocket, I need a space platform starter pack, which means I require a space platform foundation production. I also managed to craft power armor, which means the modular armor can go to my crashed spaceship. And with a nice new equipment grid and one exoskeleton, I'm going to launch the first space platform. The first thing I do in space is to request more platform foundations. I want to build one of my space station designs to make space science. I'll probably start with the Simpleton 30 and then transition to the Starlab 90. Okay, that's it. I hope to see you in the next episode, where I will rush to the other planets to make my Norvis base more productive, unlocking the power of foundries, biolabs and electromagnetic plants. Thanks, bye.